What if I told you that your family didn't just hurt you, they systematically programmed you to destroy yourself? That every anxiety attack, every self-sabotaging behavior, every toxic relationship you've ever been in was exactly what they designed you for? This isn't an accident. This isn't bad luck. This is the narcissistic family system operating exactly as it was designed to operate, like a psychological weapon of mass destruction aimed directly at your soul. I'm about to expose the most sinister truth about narcissistic families. They don't just abuse you. They program you to continue the abuse long after you've left. They install a self-destruct mechanism so sophisticated that you'll spend decades wondering why you keep making the same destructive choices over and over again, never realizing that you're still following their programming. This is the most important video I'll ever make about narcissistic families, because understanding this system isn't just about healing, it's about survival. It's about recognizing that you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not damaged goods. You're a perfectly functional human being who was programmed by dysfunctional people to operate in a dysfunctional way. If you're ready to understand how deep this programming goes, if you're ready to see the invisible chains that have been controlling your life, then hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video and tell me in the comments what pattern in your life finally makes sense now that you understand you were programmed for self-destruction. Because once you see this system for what it really is, you can never unsee it. Let me tell you about the most sophisticated form of psychological warfare ever created, the narcissistic family system. This isn't just a dysfunctional family. This is a carefully orchestrated system of control that operates like a cult, complete with a supreme leader, rigid hierarchy, unquestionable rules, and severe punishment for anyone who dares to think for themselves. In this system, you are not a child. You are not a human being with your own thoughts, feelings, and desires. You are a chess piece. You are a tool to be used, a resource to be exploited, a mirror to reflect back the narcissist's grandiose image of themselves. And from the moment you're born, you're assigned a role that will determine not just your childhood, but the rest of your life. The narcissistic family system operates on a simple principle: everything exists to serve the narcissist. The narcissist is the sun around which everything else orbits. Their needs, their emotions, their image, their comfort, these are the only things that matter. Everyone else exists to maintain this system, to keep the narcissist feeling superior, special, and in control. But here's what makes this system so insidious. It doesn't just control you through fear and punishment. It controls you through a sophisticated form of psychological programming that rewires your brain to serve the system, even when you're not in it anymore. It creates what researchers call trauma bonding, an addiction to the very dynamics that are destroying you. The narcissistic family operates through what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. This is the same psychological mechanism that makes gambling addictive, that keeps people hooked on toxic relationships, that creates the strongest psychological dependencies known to science. Sometimes you get love and approval. Sometimes you get punishment and rejection. The unpredictability creates a neurological addiction that makes you crave the very system that's destroying you. Let me break down how this programming works, because understanding this is the key to breaking free from it. The narcissistic family system assigns specific roles to each family member, and these roles are designed to ensure that the system perpetuates itself forever. First, there's the golden child, the chosen one, who can do no wrong, who receives all the praise and special treatment, who becomes the narcissist's prized possession. But don't be fooled, being the golden child isn't a privilege, it's a prison. The golden child is programmed to be an extension of the narcissist, to live their life not for themselves, but as a reflection of the narcissist's grandiosity. The golden child is programmed for self-destruction in the most insidious way possible, through perfectionism. They learn that love is conditional, that their worth depends on meeting impossible standards, that any failure is catastrophic. They become addicted to external validation, terrified of making mistakes, incapable of having authentic relationships because they don't know who they are underneath the performance. Then there's the scapegoat, the one who gets blamed for everything, who becomes the repository for all the family's dysfunction, who is constantly criticized, punished, and ostracized. The scapegoat is programmed for self-destruction through shame and self-hatred. They learn that they are fundamentally flawed, that they deserve punishment, that they are responsible for everyone else's problems. But here's the twisted genius of the narcissistic family system. It pits the children against each other. The golden child and the scapegoat are programmed to hate each other, to compete for the narcissist's approval, to be unable to form an alliance that might threaten the system. The golden child looks down on the scapegoat. The scapegoat resents the golden child, and the narcissist sits back and watches them destroy each other. There's also the enabler, usually the non-narcissistic parent, who becomes so trauma-bonded to the narcissist that they sacrifice their own children to keep the peace. The enabler is programmed to believe that maintaining the system is more important than protecting the children, that the narcissist's needs always come first, that resistance is futile and dangerous. And there are other roles: the invisible child, who disappears to avoid conflict, the mascot who uses humor to deflect tension, the caretaker who becomes responsible for everyone else's emotions. Each role serves the system. Each role is designed to keep the narcissist at the center of the universe, and each role programs the child for a lifetime of dysfunction. But the most insidious part of this programming isn't the roles themselves, it's the core beliefs that get installed in every child in the system. These beliefs become the operating system of your mind, the unconscious programming that drives your behavior long after you've left the family. You're programmed to believe that love is conditional, that you have to earn affection through performance, that your needs don't matter, that other people's emotions are your responsibility. You're programmed to believe that conflict is dangerous, that authority figures can't be questioned, that you're fundamentally flawed, that you don't deserve better. You're programmed to believe that relationships are about power and control, that someone always has to be the winner and someone always has to be the loser, that vulnerability is weakness, that trust is dangerous. You're programmed to believe that your emotions are too much, that your opinions don't matter, that you're lucky to get any attention at all, even if it's negative attention. This programming is so deep, so pervasive, that you don't even realize it's there. You think these beliefs are just who you are, just how relationships work, just the way life is. You think your anxiety is a character flaw, your depression is a chemical imbalance, your relationship problems are just bad luck. But it's not who you are, it's who you were programmed to be. And this programming is designed to ensure that you'll continue to serve the narcissistic system even when you're no longer physically in it. You'll choose partners who treat you the way the narcissist treated you. You'll recreate the same dynamics in your friendships, your workplace, your own family. You'll become your own worst enemy, your own harshest critic, your own most effective oppressor. The narcissistic family system creates what researchers call repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate familiar patterns, even when those patterns are destructive. Your brain becomes addicted to the chaos, the drama, the emotional intensity of the narcissistic system. Healthy relationships feel boring, stable people feel uninteresting, peace feels uncomfortable. You're programmed to self-sabotage every time you get close to success, happiness, or genuine love, because success would mean you're better than the narcissist said you were. Happiness would mean you don't need their approval. Love would mean you deserve better than they gave you. And the programming can't allow that. The narcissistic family system creates what psychologists call learned helplessness, the belief that you're powerless to change your circumstances, that resistance is futile, that you just have to accept whatever treatment you receive. You're programmed to be a victim, to attract predators, to believe that abuse is normal and love is a fantasy. But here's the most diabolical part of this programming. It creates what researchers call cognitive dissonance. You're programmed to believe that the narcissist loves you, that the abuse was for your own good, that you deserved the treatment you received. You're programmed to defend the very system that destroyed you, to make excuses for the people who hurt you, to believe that they did their best with what they had. This cognitive dissonance keeps you trapped in the programming because it prevents you from seeing the truth about what was done to you. You can't heal from abuse you don't acknowledge. You can't change patterns you don't recognize. You can't break free from programming you don't understand. The narcissistic family system also programs you for what researchers call intergenerational trauma, the unconscious transmission of traumatic patterns from one generation to the next. You're programmed to repeat the same mistakes your parents made, to pass the same wounds to your children, to perpetuate the same dysfunction that was passed to you. This happens through what scientists call epigenetic inheritance, the way trauma literally changes your DNA and gets passed down to future generations. The narcissistic family system doesn't just damage you, it damages your children and your children's children, creating a legacy of destruction that can last for centuries. But the programming goes even deeper than that. The narcissistic family system creates what psychologists call a fragmented identity. You don't develop a coherent sense of self because you're constantly shifting between different roles, different personas, different versions of yourself depending on what the narcissist needs from you. You're programmed to be a chameleon, to have no authentic self, to be whoever you need to be to survive. You become addicted to external validation because you have no internal compass, no sense of who you are when you're not performing for someone else's approval. The narcissistic family system programs you for what researchers call emotional dysregulation, the inability to manage your emotions in healthy ways. You're either completely numb or completely overwhelmed, either perfectly controlled or completely out of control. You never learn how to feel your emotions, process them, and let them move through you naturally. You're programmed to believe that emotions are dangerous, that anger will destroy you, that sadness is weakness, that fear is cowardice. You're programmed to either suppress everything or explode with rage, to either people please your way through life or isolate yourself from all human connection. The narcissistic family system creates what psychologists call attachment trauma, the deep wound that forms when your primary caregivers are also your primary source of danger. You're programmed to associate love with pain, intimacy with danger, closeness with suffocation. You're programmed to either cling desperately to people who hurt you or push away anyone who tries to love you. You're programmed to believe that everyone will abandon you, that you're fundamentally unlovable, that you have to choose between being alone or being abused. You're programmed to attract narcissists because they feel familiar, because chaos feels like home, because dysfunction feels like love. The narcissistic family system programs you for what researchers call hypervigilance, a constant state of scanning for threats, of anticipating danger, of being ready to fight or flee at any moment. You're programmed to believe that the world is unsafe, that people can't be trusted, that disaster is always just around the corner. You live in a constant state of stress, your nervous system stuck in survival mode, your body flooded with stress hormones that slowly destroy your health. You're programmed to see enemies everywhere, to interpret neutral situations as threatening, to react to minor conflicts as if they were life or death emergencies. But here's what I need you to understand. This programming isn't your fault. You were a child. You were vulnerable. You were dependent on these people for survival. You had no choice but to adapt to their dysfunction, to learn their rules, to become what they needed you to become. The programming was installed without your consent, without your knowledge, without your ability to resist. But you're not a child anymore. You're not powerless anymore. You're not trapped in that system anymore. And that programming that was installed without your consent can be uninstalled with your full conscious participation. The first step to breaking free from this programming is recognizing that it exists. You have to understand that those critical voices in your head aren't your voices. They're the narcissist's voices that have been internalized. Those self-defeating behaviors aren't character flaws, they're programmed responses. Those destructive patterns aren't who you are, they're who you were programmed to be. The second step is understanding that this programming serves a purpose. It keeps you connected to the narcissistic system, even when you're physically separate from it. Every time you self-sabotage, every time you choose a toxic partner, every time you prioritize someone else's needs over your own, you're maintaining your connection to the system that created you. The third step is recognizing that breaking free from this programming is not just about healing yourself, it's about breaking a generational curse. Every pattern you break, every wound you heal, every piece of programming you uninstall is one less toxic legacy you'll pass on to your children. The narcissistic family system is designed to be self-perpetuating. Children who grow up in these systems are programmed to create their own narcissistic families, to choose partners who will abuse them, to become either narcissists themselves or perfect victims for other narcissists. But you have the power to break this cycle. You have the power to reprogram yourself. You have the power to choose healing over repetition, consciousness over unconsciousness, freedom over familiarity. The narcissistic family system programs you for self-destruction, but you can reprogram yourself for self-creation. You can learn to love yourself instead of abandoning yourself. You can learn to trust yourself instead of doubting yourself. You can learn to protect yourself instead of betraying yourself. You can break free from the roles they assigned you, the beliefs they installed in you, the programming they used to control you. You can become who you were meant to be before they got their hands on you. You can reclaim your authentic self from the wreckage of their dysfunction. But you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to face the truth about what was done to you. You have to be willing to grieve the childhood you never had, the parents you needed but didn't get, the family you deserved but were denied. You have to be willing to feel the anger, the pain, the grief that you were programmed to suppress. You have to be willing to challenge the beliefs that have been running your life. You have to be willing to choose healing over comfort, growth over stagnation, truth over illusion. The narcissistic family system programmed you to believe that you're broken, that you're worthless, that you're lucky to get any love at all. But that's not who you are. That's who they needed you to believe you were so they could control you. You are not broken. You are not worthless. You are not lucky to get scraps of conditional love. You are a powerful, beautiful, worthy human being who deserves to be loved for who you are, not for what you can do for someone else. You deserve relationships based on mutual respect, not power and control. You deserve love that is unconditional, not contingent on your performance. You deserve to be seen, heard, valued, and celebrated for your authentic self. The narcissistic family system tried to destroy you, but you survived. You're here, you're breathing, you're learning, you're growing. That's not an accident. That's a testament to your strength, your resilience, your unbreakable spirit. Now it's time to stop just surviving and start thriving. It's time to stop being a victim of their programming and start being the author of your own story. It's time to stop serving their system and start creating your own. The narcissistic family system programmed you for self-destruction, but you can reprogram yourself for self-actualization. You can become everything they tried to prevent you from becoming. You can live the life they never wanted you to live. You can be free in ways they never wanted you to be free. Your healing is your rebellion. Your success is your revenge. Your happiness is your victory. Every boundary you set, every authentic choice you make, every moment you choose yourself over their programming is a declaration of independence from the system that created you. You are not condemned to repeat their patterns. You are not destined to pass on their wounds. You are not doomed to live out their programming forever. You have the power to break free, to heal, to transform, to become who you were always meant to be. The narcissistic family system is powerful, but you are more powerful. They programmed you for self-destruction, but you can reprogram yourself for self-creation. And when you do, you won't just be healing yourself, you'll be healing the future generations who will never have to endure what you endured. The cycle of abuse stops with you. The generational trauma ends with you. The narcissistic family system dies with you. And from the ashes of their destruction, you will rise as the person you were always meant to be. That's not just healing, that's revolution. That's not just recovery, that's resurrection. That's not just breaking free, that's breaking through to a level of power and authenticity they never wanted you to achieve. You are the generation that breaks the curse. You are the one who stops the cycle. You are the one who transforms the poison into medicine, the wounds into wisdom, the programming into power. The narcissistic family system programmed you to self-destruct, but you're about to reprogram yourself to self-actualize. And when you do, you'll understand that everything they did to hurt you actually made you stronger. Everything they did to break you actually made you more resilient. Everything they did to destroy you actually prepared you to help others heal. Your wounds are your credentials. Your pain is your purpose. Your healing is your gift to the world. And your freedom is your legacy to the future.